Iran, because of the great leadership of the Shah, is an island of stability in one of the more troubled areas of the world.
Following the 1979 Iranian Revolution, the government adopted a new constitution, fusing religion and politics and establishing the Islamic Republic of Iran. This triggered radical ideological reforms, causing a conservative shift in Iranian culture and leading to worldwide reactions as Iran emerged as a global ideological threat. Today, given a complex history of foreign interference and internal strife, Iranians are left deeply divided on future reformations of the country. Throughout the early 20th century, leaders of Persia instituted a series of modern reforms, including renaming the country to Iran, westernizing Iranian society, and appropriating oil. In 1951, Iranian parliament members voted to nationalize Iran's oil reserves and profits, and democratically elected Mohammad Mossadegh to the parliament, a vocal critic of Britain's control over Iranian oil. Cold War tensions led to American concern over the preservation of Western dominance in oil. This drove the Eisenhower administration to conspire with Britain to develop Operation Ajax, a coup intending to overthrow Mossadegh. In 1953, the coup successfully removed Mossadegh from power, replacing him with an American-backed prime minister and solidifying the power of the Iranian Shah, Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi. In 1957, the CIA assisted the Shah in establishing the Savak, a secret police service who used torture and executions against the Shah's opposers to preserve his power. Years of American interference and westernization led to resentment of the United States for many Iranians. However, one figure was emerging, rallying Iran's conservative Islamist population while in exile: Ruhollah Khomeini. Throughout the 1960s, Khomeini became increasingly critical of the Shah's reform program and his close alliance with the United States. Throughout his exile, Khomeini remained involved in the Iranian opposition movement by leaking his tapes and writings, spreading his anti-Western philosophy, which embodied calls for revolution. This made him the figure of independence and anti-imperialism, sparking small forms of dissent beginning in 1977. After the Shah's government planted a newspaper article scorning Khomeini in January, the protests snowballed, launching the Iranian Revolution. The revolution included Iranians across all demographics who demanded an end to the Shah's tyranny and American interference. Over the course of the next year, protests across Iran demanding Khomeini's return and the Shah's removal were met with state brutality.
The number killed in Tehran since the beginning of the month is probably well over 100. Emotions over the dead and the rumors of dead are high. Every day here now, the demonstrations and arrests go on.
The revolution's overwhelming support forced the Shah to leave the country in January 1979. On February 1st, millions welcomed Khomeini back into Iran to seize the power vacuum. After 2 months of political turmoil, Khomeini initiated a referendum, which asked voters the yes or no question: should Iran become an Islamic republic? Offering no alternative options or an explanation of the suggested government, the outcome was drastically positive, as 99% of voters responded yes. This gave Khomeini a democratic mandate to lead the nation under an Islamic government. The day following the conclusion of the referendum, Khomeini addressed the population. In the Islamic Republic, everything that exists in Iran today must be changed. Universities must be changed, our colonialist culture must be converted into an independent culture. The people must reform themselves. By October, the new constitution was finalized and awaiting approval. However, before it could be ratified, 66 American hostages were taken by Iranian students, triggered by Carter's decision allowing the Shah to receive medical treatment in the United States, fearing his possible reinstatement. The provisional government resigned after this incident in protest, solidifying the power of the Iranian supreme leader Ayatollah Khomeini. A month later, the constitution was officially ratified, fusing together Iranian politics and Islamic religion. This fostered drastic internal reforms and included goals for exporting their revolutionary ideals, acting as a blueprint for other dispossessed peoples to resist oppressive nations' influence, continuing the revolution at home and abroad. This radical ideological reform triggered multiple simultaneous reactions. Initially, many Iranian citizens felt a sense of euphoria as they successfully overthrew the authoritarian Shah. Throughout 1979, reforms imposed through Islamic laws sparked unrest, primarily at universities. Beginning in the spring of 1980, the new regime purged campuses, ridding education of Western and Eastern influence and stifling dissent by enforcing Khomeini's version of Islam. Additional reforms assisted impoverished communities by improving infrastructure and education. Reactions varied. Many rural citizens benefited, staying loyal to the new theocracy and joining newly established paramilitary groups, while urban support dwindled, as many believed they replaced one dictatorship for another.
Before the revolution, my father was arrested and tortured in prisons for political activity. And when the revolution happened, my father was arrested and tortured again.
In September of 1980, Iraqi forces invaded Iran, combating the new theocracy's ideological threat. The invasion forced the regime to sustain revolutionary conditions internally and shift towards national survival, leading to the release of the American hostages and severing diplomatic ties between Iran and the United States. Iraq's plan of invasion ultimately backfired, as Khomeini utilized religion to fight the war, merging nationalism and martyrdom, solidifying loyalty to the new theocracy. While many expected a swift Iraqi victory, the regime's exploitation of religion and nationalism extended the war and allowed Khomeini to wield his authority internally. Paramilitary forces used brutality against women and citizens of differing religions and political beliefs to repress opposition to the regime and adherence to religious law. In 1988, a ceasefire ended the bloody war, and Iran emerged as a self-reliant military power. Wartime paramilitary forces evolved into permanent organizations used for morality policing and suppressing dissent. For the next 20 years, opposition grew in reaction to state brutality, further dividing the nation.
That level of being ready to martyr yourself for your country, your religion, that kind of stuff is still out there. And that's what I worry about.
Although there is still a significant number of conservative Iranians loyal to the Islamic Republic, opposition is consistent. Throughout the 2000s, there were numerous anti-regime protests, including Iran's Green Movement of 2009, the Bloody November protests in 2019, and the Women Life Freedom protests of 2022 and 2023. Recent protests in December 2025 began after inflation soared, transforming into a movement against the regime. Ultimately, a severe government response quelled the protests by using paramilitary forces to massacre citizens, drawing international attention.
The United States military began major combat operations in Iran.
Tonight, Donald Trump says Iran's supreme leader is dead as fears grow for all-out war.
Naming its new supreme leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. He's the son of the late supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
There's a last-minute deal tonight between the U.S. and Iran to stop the fighting, at least temporarily, after 38 days of joint U.S.-Israeli military operations against Iran.
Today, Iran remains at war with the United States and Israel, continuing a pattern of foreign interference. This pattern has led to the radicalization of the country, deepening the multifaceted reactions to the current government, with some wanting reform while others demand revolution. The path forward remains uncertain.